Every single year, thousands of people around the world are reported missing. Most missing person cases are resolved quickly, but there are some that still wait for answers. So, join us for today's video as we look at 15 creepiest missing people mysteries that cannot be explained. Number 15. Goldie. According to friends and family, Goldie was in a good place back in January 2023. He was actively turning his life around and had many positive things ahead. His sudden disappearance at the end of the month was especially unusual. Ian had recently moved into a new apartment in Iron Mountain after spending 20 years in nearby Escanaba, where most of his relatives lived. His closest family, his parents, son, and preschool-aged daughter lived in Garden Peninsula. On January 27th, Ian left his apartment, traveling to Escanaba, where he checked into a Quality Inn under a false name. The next evening, he texted his mother asking her to order a pizza to his room. The following day, he messaged his son saying he'd gotten a ride to Garden Peninsula, his last contact. A suspicious parking lot incident and a prior troubling event at a local gym remain unexplained. Anyone with information can contact the Delta County Sheriff. Number 14. Casey Yoder. It's been over a year since Casey disappeared from her home in Weld County. Dozens of tips reached law enforcement, but little came of them. Casey was 34 in January 2024 when she vanished. She lived east of Eaton, Colorado, with her partner Evan and their 4 sons. She was especially devoted to her oldest, who had a disability. She'd been working toward a license that would allow her to be paid as his formal caregiver. Only one more test remained. In the months before she went missing, she'd been in high spirits, enough that she stopped taking her medication for bipolar disorder. But the day before she disappeared, she messaged a friend saying she wanted to lie down in a snowy irrigation ditch and never get up. Yet by January 14th, she seemed fine. That morning, she called her mom. They talked every day. Nothing about the call felt strange. Her mom considered calling back to keep chatting, but never got the chance. Number 13. Pierce Kreman. Almost 25 years have passed since Pierce Kreman vanished without a trace. When his family began looking for answers, the mystery only deepened. On October 30th, 2000, the 28-year-old lived in Cork, Ireland, with his older brother Cormac and worked as a tennis coach. That day, he had lunch with his mother and sister before heading to the Viaduct bar with a friend. He left at about 8:30 p.m., saying he was going home, but never arrived. 9 days later, a family friend unknowingly saw him at a gas station. In February 2001, his brother found Pierce's license plate and broken taillight glass on cliffs near Roberts Cove. Divers pulled his car from the water, but it was empty, and the keys were missing. On Christmas Eve, a man matching his description tried to rent a B&B room nearby, but it's never been confirmed as him. Number 12. Cameron Twiss. Cameron was reported missing when he didn't return to his hostel after a hiking trip through northern Albania. Search efforts were launched quickly, but Cameron has still not been found. He was an avid hiker and traveler who had flown in from Australia. One of his last messages to friends back home mentioned making homemade liquor with a local man, typical of Cameron, who easily connected with locals and travelers alike. On October 13, 2024, he set out to hike a well-known trail connecting Valbona to the village of Theth. He was staying at a hostel in Shkodër and planned to walk the full 10-hour trail. The route crossed isolated alpine terrain. Though remote, the hike isn't considered dangerous, and Cameron was in excellent shape. He began the trail with other tourists, but eventually split off around 8 a.m. That was the last verified sighting. His belongings and passport were left behind. Calls stopped going through. And Twiss has remained missing ever since. Number 11. Michael Claussell. Michael Claussell's family and friends have been searching for answers since he vanished without warning in May 2024. The circumstances surrounding his disappearance left them fearing the worst, but the longer he stays missing, the more baffling it becomes. Michael was last seen on May 3rd. He was 45 at the time and living on the north side of Columbus, Ohio. Work had taken him to Xenia, about an hour away, so he'd temporarily relocated to Dayton. While in Dayton, he used a rental car to get around. It was the rental company who first raised concerns. Michael was scheduled to return the car a few days after May 3rd, but when he didn't, they contacted his family. They hadn't seen or heard from him. On May 13th, a trooper with the Ohio Highway Patrol found the rental wrecked on the side of East Enon Road, but Michael was gone. Number 10. Daniel O'Neill Baker. June 12, 2021, should have been one of the happiest days for the Baker family as they celebrated a wedding. But the bride's father, Daniel O'Neill Baker, had vanished 2 days earlier. On June 8th, he was riding his motorcycle on Highway 200 toward Helena, Montana, when it broke down. A passing driver gave him a lift to Potomac, where his bike, helmet, and keys were found. The next day, Dan phoned his girlfriend Amy from a borrowed phone, saying he was heading to the Poverello Center in Missoula. On June 10th, he called again, now missing his wallet, before the call ended abruptly. The following day, university workers found his wallet in the bushes nearby without identification. Despite searches, Dan was never located. He was 44 at the time of disappearance, deeply family-oriented, and unlikely to leave willingly. If anyone has any kind of information about him, be sure to contact the Missoula Police Department. Number 9. Daryl Johnson, Sr. Daryl was out celebrating a birthday at a New Mexico campsite when he disappeared. It's been 10 months, and there's been no sign of him. Daryl was last seen on June 29, 2024. The day before, he traveled from his home in Phoenix, Arizona, to Conchas Lake State Park in New Mexico. He'd been to New Mexico before, but never Conchas Lake. His family said he'd never visited anywhere so isolated. The park was extremely remote. Without a vehicle, you were stuck. Daryl went on the trip with his roommate and her family. Over 30 people were there. He had his own tent, and nothing seemed odd when the group said goodnight around 11 p.m. About 90 minutes later, someone saw Daryl again. He'd come over to borrow a flashlight. The witness watched him walk along the shoreline, then turn back toward the campsite. They said he seemed disoriented, maybe drunk. That made no sense to Daryl's family. He didn't drink or use anything. Number 8. Cindy Gosselin. Cindy vanished under deeply strange circumstances in September 2024, leaving behind 3 children who've now spent months wondering where she went. Cindy lived in an apartment in southeast San Antonio. The year hadn't been easy. She'd been struck by a truck that summer, which later led to her losing her job. But her friends and family say she wasn't acting odd in the days before she disappeared. On the afternoon of September 15th, Cindy left home wearing a black dress and high-top sneakers, smiling as she walked out. She told her daughter she'd be back in a few hours or by morning. A few hours later, her daughter received a Facebook Messenger voice call. Cindy sounded frightened. She said something was going on and that she needed to talk, but the call dropped. She never came home. She had left on foot, without her phone. That call had come from someone else's device. No one knows who. No one knows where she went. Number 7. Andrew Gosden. On September 14th, 2007, 14-year-old Andrew left his Doncaster home, withdrew £200 from his bank account, and bought a one-way ticket to London. His last confirmed sighting was at King's Cross Station around 11:20 a.m., captured on CCTV. Andrew was highly intelligent, with a strong interest in mathematics and computers. His family believed he was heading to a museum or exhibition, but he never returned. Over the years, numerous leads surfaced, including reported sightings, but none could be verified. His disappearance sparked one of the UK's largest missing child investigations. In 2021, police arrested 2 men on suspicion of kidnapping and trafficking in connection with the case, though both were later released under investigation. Andrew's parents continued to search, maintaining a website and appealing for information. Despite extensive coverage, his case remains unsolved. His bank account has never been accessed since that day, and there's been no confirmed contact from him. He is still missing. Number 6. Mora Murray. Mora, a 21-year-old nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, vanished on February 9, 2004. That afternoon, she emailed professors saying she'd be absent for a family emergency, an excuse later proven false. She withdrew cash, bought alcohol, and drove north toward New Hampshire. At 7:27 p.m., her car was found crashed on Route 112 in Haverhill. A passing bus driver offered help, but she declined, saying she'd called roadside assistance. When police arrived minutes later, Mora was gone. Searches of the area, including with dogs and helicopters, found no trace. Over the years, theories ranged from voluntary disappearance to foul play. In 2021, human remains were found nearby but were later ruled unrelated. Her family continues to search, hosting annual vigils and maintaining a website dedicated to her case. Despite widespread media coverage and numerous tips, Mora's fate remains unknown. Number 5. Paige Coffee. Back in April of 2019, 27-year-old Paige Coffee vanished from a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. She lived with her grandparents and had a very close bond with her mother, Trinity, describing her as her best friend. Paige studied fashion merchandising and worked in retail management with hopes of advancing her career. On April 30th, Trinity drove Paige to work, later picking her up. Instead of going home, Paige asked to be dropped at a gas station near her boyfriend's home. The next day, she texted her mother asking for money. Their final exchange. When days passed without contact, Trinity grew concerned. CCTV later showed Paige on May 7th at a Home Depot in Steelyard Commons with her boyfriend Patrick Mason, purchasing brake fluid and a candy bar. What happened afterward remains unknown. Mason claimed they had broken up and denied recent contact. He remains a person of interest, but no arrests have been made. Number 4. Claudia Lawrence. Claudia Lawrence, a 35-year-old chef at the University of York, vanished in March 2009. She was last seen leaving work on March 18th and spoke with her parents that evening. When she failed to show up for her next shift, concern grew quickly. Police classified her disappearance as suspected murder after early inquiries revealed she likely knew her assailant. Claudia's phone switched off around midday on March 19th, and CCTV showed no confirmed sightings afterward. The case drew national attention, with appeals and interviews broadcast across the UK. Over the years, several people were arrested on suspicion of murder, but all were released without charge. In 2021, police conducted searches at gravel pits near York, but found nothing linked to her case. Claudia's father, Peter Lawrence, campaigned tirelessly for legal changes to help families of missing adults. He passed away in 2021 without knowing what happened to his daughter. Number 3. Bryce Laspisa. On August 28, 2013, 19-year-old Bryce Laspisa left Sierra College in Rocklin, California, to visit his parents in Laguna Niguel. Along the way, his behavior became increasingly erratic. He called his mother late at night from near Buttonwillow, over 350 miles from campus, saying he was fine but never arrived. His car was later found overturned near Castaic Lake, its front windshield shattered, and Bryce's wallet, phone, and laptop inside. A bloodhound traced his scent to a nearby truck stop, but no further signs were found. Search teams combed the area for days, including dives in the lake, but found nothing. Friends reported he had been giving away possessions and drinking heavily in the days before. Despite extensive searches and national media attention, his disappearance remains unsolved. His parents believe he may have experienced a mental health crisis and wandered away, but after years without leads, the circumstances remain one of California's most baffling missing person cases. Number 2. Trevor Deely. On December 8, 2000, 22-year-old Trevor Deely attended his work Christmas party in Dublin. After leaving a nightclub, he stopped by his office to collect an umbrella due to heavy rain. CCTV captured him speaking briefly to an unidentified man outside before entering the building. Around 4 a.m., cameras recorded him walking along Haddington Road toward his home in Ballsbridge. This was the last confirmed sighting. Despite extensive searches of the River Dodder and surrounding areas, no trace was found. In 2017, following new information, Goldie searched a 3-acre site in Chapelizod, but recovered nothing connected to Trevor. His family continued appeals, releasing enhanced CCTV footage in hopes of identifying the man seen outside the office. Investigators believe he may hold key information. Trevor's disappearance remains unsolved, with speculation ranging from random attack to targeted crime. His case is considered one of Ireland's most mysterious missing person investigations, still open more than 2 decades later. Number 1. Lisa Shuttleworth. On September 4, 2003, Lisa Shuttleworth's day began routinely, a phone call to her daughter, driving her young son to school, and stopping for gas. Back home, she told a friend she was expecting someone, though her family doubts the visitor was real. That afternoon, she failed to collect her son from the bus stop. Both her broken-down car and a borrowed vehicle were outside her locked home. Inside, a pot of tea sat on the stove, her rings were on the windowsill, and her makeup bag remained. Only her pocketbook and pager were gone. Attempts to report her missing were delayed by 24 hours, and police didn't search her home until a week later. No scent or evidence of foul play was found. Her family maintains she wouldn't leave willingly and believes someone knows the truth. Anyone with information should contact the Aiken County Sheriff's Office at 800-922-9709. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.